Welcome back, y'all. The Moving Forward Show is here for y'all again. What's going on? I know y'all see who I got on this couch. I got Begani, Lucky Church, I Am Brooklyn. Let me meet myself, Flow Bomber. What's going on, y'all?
It's a vibe right now.
Yes.
It's
It's
vibe
a
right
great
now.
vibe.
The energy is high.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
I'm a little nervous today.
There's no
I'm
need,
gonna say
bro.
that on camera.
You are royalty, just like everybody in this room.
Thank you.
That's a fact.
Thank
No
you.
need to be nervous.
Thank you. Let the people know who you are. Let's go from this way to that way.
So it's Bigani. Some people call me Bigani Tsunami.
Big Hana. Big
So,
Hana.
Bigani. Bigani Tsunami Energy. Bigani because it's like in my language, Tagalog, Bigani means charismatic.
Mhm.
I have a lot of charisma.
Mhm.
Tsunami because I make waves. And energy because we gotta stay tapped into good energy to get things done.
Damn
So
it.
that's the name.
Let's get
Come
it.
on, man.
How
Let
you gonna
them
go?
know, Big Honey. Let them know. Yeah. So my name is Lucky Church. I started off in the business as a publicist, but I'm kind of just an all-around guru in different things, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. And I'm not self-proclaiming the guru title, but I've been told.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where I'm a master of many trades.
Mhm.
So I take those trades and kind of help other people grow their businesses, grow their brands, work with many great people in the business. And it's just an honor to be here on this couch.
That's a fact.
He
with
growing
all
the brand
with
already.
all this excellence, because a lot of times I get interviewed by people who don't look like me. So being in a room with people who are like the people running this, the engineer, it's all us in here. So it feels good.
Shout out to Wolf.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Shout out
Thank
to
you.
Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you. Don't get nervous.
Nah, nervous. Siberia.
Ooh.
Everybody else probably know me as by my brand name. I Am Brooklyn Apparel. Rapper, designer, hustler, motivator. Whatever I need to be, chameleon.
That dude.
Guess. Best way
That
best way
dude.
to put it.
All right. Today is a special show. Today we're going to be talking about mental awareness and the entertainment, or just mental awareness overall. And it's deep because I see a lot of these. Actually, in the NBA right now, Ja Morant got caught flashing a gun in the club. They suspend him for 2 games, but he just got a deal for $200 million, right? How is that? How can we segue that into something wrong, like mental health?
That's definitely something wrong.
Like what?
Because if you survivor's remorse. If I'm making $200 million, at some point, when do I say enough is enough? What do I need to be flashing a gun at anybody for? I'm worth $200 million. Not only is it me representing myself, I'm representing the NBA, I'm representing Nike, I'm representing so many different people. So now it's not only about you. It's something wrong with your brain if you can't sit down and comprehend. Y'all made it from the trenches, and I'm here where most people don't get to be. It's only 500 people make it to the NBA out of this world. You know what I'm saying? On this planet. And if you one of the lucky chosen ones and you making $200 million and you choose to still be in the street flashing guns on people and all this other nonsense, like something's wrong with you. You survived for a reason. That was God's plan for you to survive.
Right.
So if I get 200,000, I'm not flashing no gun on nobody.
A 9 to 5, I'm not flashing a gun.
Yeah, because, but then I don't. It's definitely something mentally wrong with that. But at the same time, like maybe he ain't get to the point where he grew enough to understand what he's doing.
That part.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we don't understand stuff until we get older and look back down and we be like, damn. And then sometimes most people don't care to understand.
Right.
And to add to that, a lot of times we don't pay attention to our surroundings and learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And just to jump on what you said, I agree with some of the points you made, brother.
Mhm.
But from personal experience, and do y'all mind if I share a story? real
Yeah,
quick?
share a story.
Yeah.
We got time.
So when I was a kid in high school, when I was with my girlfriend at the time, who was my wife today, shout out to my wife Fiang. We'll be 27 years this May.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Congrats.
much. But we went through a lot of turmoil and pain, and I was I was running track at the time, playing basketball, and when you argue as kids, you go through a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was like, you know what? I heard that maybe I should go talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go to my, North Central Hospital in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let me go up there and just talk to somebody. And when I get to the window, and I said, ma'am, I said, I need help. I said, because I'm not like, I don't want to kill myself or anything, but I don't know what to do. I've been with my lady for about 2 years at this time, a year and a half, and I'm struggling. And she wants me to be something I'm not. She wants me to change. And I need help to talk to somebody to help me get through this.
Right.
Now, here's a young black man in his teens coming asking a facility for help.
Which is hard to do.
Now, listen, this
They looking
now,
at him like,
now, this is when I realized, hindsight being 2020, that I was just a number.
that's it.
Mhm.
They didn't care about my
They didn't
situation.
care. They just, whatever.
So what happened in this moment was the young lady, she makes me fill out a form, and then she starts talking to me like I'm crazy.
Mm.
She's like, "Sir, sit down. We'll
Mm.
take care of you." And I'm not hip to the game yet. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, let me just sit down, fill out the paperwork. They bring me downstairs to this room.
Mhm.
When we walk into the room, I'm looking. There's people in robes. So they're like, "Take off your stuff." And I'm like, "Take off my stuff for what?" I was like, I'm getting naked to,
Mhm.
to have a conversation
They're
with,
trying to hold you,
you know,
for
with the,
evaluation.
yeah. So I'm thinking like, what's happening here? So she looks at me. She's like, "Sir, I'm gonna ask you one more time." Very soft voice. And I'm like, what is happening? So now I look in the room across, and there's a kid, and no disrespect to people with mental illness, that's at a different level, but they need much education. But dude was over there, and he was like bouncing against the walls. And I was like, oh shit.
Mhm.
I was like, what are they about to do to me? And
Wow.
then I take off my clothes, put on a robe. She's like, take off your shoestrings. And she gives me this robe, and she gives me foam slippers.
Suicide watch.
So I said, what the hell is happening here?
Mhm.
And luckily now, I can just imagine anybody else who doesn't have the right sense of mind who will flip out in that situation. But luckily, I had my wits about me. So I said, let me just be chill. And I seen the two big white dudes who were like standing at the door.
Mhm.
They locked the door behind me. Then they put me in the room, locked me in the room with the dude who was doing this.
Oh, shoot.
So I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, I got to sit here and go through this. They gave me one phone call.
Mm-hmm.
So about after 6 hours, I called my girl and I was like, baby, I said, I need you to look out. My wife is Asian. She's from Laos.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know what the hell's going to happen to me. They keep giving me pills. And luckily, I knew not to take it.
Whoa.
Oh,
I would not take the pills. They would give it to me. And I was just like tucking them in places like I had it behind my nutsack.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not taking no fucking
Yeah.
pills that I don't understand what they're giving me. Long story short, 12 and a half hours later, they let me go.
Wow.
But now, with that situation, I'm just thinking about other brothers like our brother here that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What has he seen during his life
Yeah.
that made him feel that he needed to have that gun? It's a bigger situation than what we see at face value.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
You know, we don't know the
Indeed.
stories of what people are actually going through.
Yeah.
Me and per se, people look at me, they're like, he's mad cool, he's chill. But I just have this inner ability to hide things
Mm.
and carry a lot without sharing. You won't know most of the things I went through until I tell you.
Mhm.
So I can only imagine what a man in his position, carrying the weight of his family, with all the pressure of what they want from him, and how people think that money works, that it's just an instant into your account when it's really not. You know what I mean? And then you're becoming the bank of your family and dealing with all this pressure. And I'm just taking that from my experience, looking back on it as a kid. Just imagine what that man has been through to put him where he's at today.
That thinking about that, that's you're absolutely right.
You know, and that's one of the things that I don't think we all consider
Hmm.
at times. We just see what the news tells us,
Right.
Which is a lie.
you know, which is
Yeah.
usually a lie because they're just trying to sell us something, give us a story, pump it up for their ratings.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an actual human being behind that story that went through some shit.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
You know.
Bagana, quick question.
Begani.
Bagani, I'm sorry. Bagani.
Begani.
What is mental health to you, and how do you prevent it?
So mental health is, the status of being healthy mentally. Preventing it, it's not really anything to prevent. It's more like a state that, the state of your health mentally. And maybe your question is, how do you remain, or how do you develop a good mental state or a
Right.
good mental health?
Right.
Similar to like being healthy physically or
Mhm.
being healthy spiritually. I feel like for me, I'm still learning because, we met
Right.
at the
At the,
Culture
yeah,
Weekend,
Culture
New York.
Weekend, yes.
And I said out loud, and my story is I fell into that space. I founded my community, which is now global, the Love Bomb Room, Catch These Compliments, accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
And we equipped each other with information about mental wellness,
Mm-hmm.
staying right mentally,
Right.
staying right in your mind. So just for me, mental wellness is about keeping a good, mindset, not paying attention to negative things, or at least trying not to,
Mm-hmm.
staying prayed up,
Definitely prayed up.
staying
Oof.
prayed up, and, focusing on the right things. I grew up in Cypress Hills, so there's a lot of toxicity. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Like,
Talk about.
Let's talk about that.
no, you from
You got a
Cypress
Killer
Hills?
Cypress shirt on.
Oh, yo, so like where
Yes,
we're
yes.
from is like, and I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to be like a conspiracy theorist.
You're not.
But it's like growing up in these kind of neighborhoods, it's a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Like, especially
about
for
it.
me, growing up, looking the way that I do, it's
Right.
like a
Mhm.
predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I was one of the only 3 Asian families that was living in that neighborhood.
Mm.
So I got bullied, I
Wow.
got teased, and on top of the fact that my mom would send me to school with mismatched clothes, it was bad. But that was traumatic. Like, going to school, almost getting beat up. Thank God I didn't get touched
Yeah.
or beat up by anybody. But still mentally, just going to school, you just want to learn. You just want to, go to your class, and then people teasing you and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, what got me through it is my grandmother, who encompasses love. As you know, everybody's grandmother reminds you, like,
Love is power.
love is power.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So, and then also my faith in God just keeps me centered. So for me, I'm still learning, but what keeps me grounded and centered is making wise decisions and the people that I bring around me, the conversations that I have, try to stay away from gossip, which is hard.
Oh,
It's
man.
hard, right?
Especially in the industry we in.
Especially in the industry we in.
Mhm.
But it's everyone's responsibility to have a good life. Like, you deserve a good life. He deserves a good life. Everybody here deserves a good life. I deserve a good life. And knowing that you deserve a good life and making decisions, the right decisions that would allow you to have a good life.
Mhm.
And, and it's knowledge, really, with mental wellness.
Right.
Let me add something to that.
Go ahead, Church.
It's brilliant that you said that, because I think a key part of mental health is ownership of your actions.
Yeah, ownership.
And a lot of times,
Accountability.
Come on now.
Accountability.
Let me get a little finger tambourine. A lot of times, we don't realize that we are the sum of our actions and the choices we made through our lives. So a lot of times where there were barriers where I felt like I could have crashed and ran into this wall that destroyed me or made me crumble, I looked up and I looked in the mirror and said, you made these choices.
Mm.
You put yourself here. So if I had the power to put myself there, I had the power to get myself out.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, I see a lot of guys, there's a lot of rappers in the game getting killed, talking about their community, and it just seems like a big cesshole of trouble. Like, coming from the community I come from, I'm also from Cyprus.
Oh,
right?
for real?
Yeah, I'm from Cyprus, right? I'm from Cyprus, right? And growing up, I was shot at,
Oh.
pistol whipped for something I ain't have no parts in just because I was from a certain side.
Mm.
And my whole life, it was based off of survival, right?
I feel that.
So when I see these rappers in the game being caught with guns and stuff like this, I understand their pain. You're not gonna let nobody do nothing to you.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it plays a big part on your mentality
Yeah.
because we wasn't taught nothing else but to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? So I'll say all that to say this. When do you know it's time to leave everything alone? To just focus on you, your family, your money, and just find peace. How do you know that? How do you know when it's time to get help?
I think it's a different time for everybody because you have to be ready. Most people not ready. Most people don't know they want better until they see better.
Ooh.
And coming from where we come from, all we was taught was negativity. Most of us living in the hood got PTSD and won't admit it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we was always taught that you don't take what's going on outside to outsiders. Most of us need to see a therapist
Right.
because what we know, we grew up surviving in the ghetto in the worst, you know what I'm saying, environment. So when we get out that environment, even you ever notice, like you be in a hood, like the hood, it's a dark ass cloud. As soon as you come out the hood and go,
the sun is out,
shining bright. And you're like, what's going on? But we stay stuck in that for so long because we don't know no better. And there's really nobody there that really made it out to show us, yo, this is a better way. And those that did make it out, they not coming back to reach. They just like, yo, we got out, so we're going to keep going. But they're not dealing with their mental issues either.
right?
You know what I'm saying? They just ran away from them. We just stuck there to deal with it, and there's no help. When we was younger, it was after school programs, and you can go sit and talk to a guidance counselor or somebody. It was somebody that you could talk to, but they took all that out, and there's nobody to talk to. Now you talk to somebody,
They took it out.
somebody 2 years older than you could be your big homie, and they, depending on where their mentality is at, that's what you're gonna get, and then that's what you're gonna teach to the next younger generation, and it's gonna keep going on until you get strong enough, your brain gets strong enough to be like, you know what? Somebody got to break the cycle, and a lot of people ain't at that point where they want to break the cycle yet.
I love
You know,
Go ahead, speak up.
You know what's funny? When you hit on that about the counselors, I had in like a aha moment. I was like, he's so right, because it's like our people, and I mean that minority people in general. No matter what they throw us up against, we find our way out. And as soon as we find our way out, they find another thing to throw us in.
Yeah.
And it confuses me. And like you said, because I remember going to my guidance counselor, and that was my therapist at the time. Shout out to Mr. Anderson, who got me out of a lot of trouble. And it's kind of the same system that they put into the music industry.
Very true.
Of how they capitalize off
your
of
pain.
our mental illness, our pain, our struggle. And then it's kind of like a pipeline. It's like you run into the industry, they give you a little change, they use you up, and then they throw
spit you right back out.
spit you right back out, either into prison or the grave.
But they definitely trying to sing you to the grave because they want to get that life insurance policy.
Oh, come on. And
Now,
that's something people don't know
That's what I
about.
wanted to talk about.
Now we about to get
These
deep.
industry, these record executives is making you sign your contract with the life insurance, right? Why they don't make you have a therapist? Because we all need it.
But if you get help, will you put out the same pain?
The money is in the pain.
The money is the pain.
The money is in our suffering.
Because nobody think about the transition from music. We went from Rakim to
Knowledge
Humpty,
yourself.
and
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? So they took everything that was teaching you knowledge and teaching you how to be a responsible person. We're not even gonna say black, responsible person, period.
Yeah.
They didn't want that. You know what I'm saying? So you got self-destruction and then you got fuck the police and then you kept getting more of the negativity because the negativity was selling. They don't, you know what I'm saying? And it's more profitable for them.
Was it designed to go that way? And not,
Absolutely.
I want
I
to.
believe
I don't. This is what I want to say. Right on Culture Weekend, a young woman was on a panel and she was saying how we got to be careful what your hoes digest. Right, what you see,
Mm-hmm.
what you hear,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what you're around. Is it the music that plays part of our mental, or is it our environment, or both?
It's everything. It's
It's a
everything.
mixture.
That's why she said all holes. Like what you see, what you hear, what you consume, like energetically. Like
Mhm.
right now, this is sort of like like a meditation almost. You know, we're talking about one topic with the intention and purpose to educate the masses.
Yes.
That's an intention to put out to, you know, become the light for people, right? So to your question, it's everything, even the food that you eat.
Even the food
Oh,
that's
come on
very
now.
true.
better talk.
You know, and you know this more. Like I got injured during the pandemic,
okay.
on top of other things that happened to me during the pandemic. And that whole like experience made me change the way I approach just like consumerism, like how we're supposed to eat like as people in
Mhm.
America,
Mm-hmm.
and really understanding what junk food is and what's not good for us and what could really mess up the focus in our minds,
Yeah.
and healthy food that's going to allow us to heal, because it's a lot of healing that we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even, you know, going back to what he was saying, that basically what everyone was saying, is a lot of anger, trauma, PTSD, and even carrying on from the people before us.
That's right.
So they didn't have the knowledge to heal, but now we have access to the knowledge to heal. What you're doing is important, actually. Creating a space to where we could share the information to share to the masses.
Thank you.
This is a therapy session
It's a
right
therapy
Come on,
session
man.
right
Talk
now.
about
This is
it.
definitely a therapy
This is
session.
important. This is God's work,
Thank you.
honestly.
And it's what they
Thank
don't
you.
want.
This is what
as
they
well.
don't want, church.
Yeah.
They don't want this. And I think about, I circle back to the pandemic that you were talking about. And people are going to hit me with the conspiracy, but I'm just talking about what I saw from my personal life.
Mhm.
They kidnapped us from our daily lives
Mm-hmm.
and took some of the most important things from us, which was number one, sunlight,
Absolutely.
movement. People were now staying there. And then after all these studies come out about how important movement is, how the body
Sun.
and getting the sun and being around,
Come on.
how these masks
You know,
didn't
but-
work.
Know
You know
about
what I mean?
that.
But and all of this stuff affects our mental health. And it
Mhm.
almost felt like it was an assassination
Assassination.
of our community.
Mm.
You
Because
know,
you put people who already had all these health issues
yeah.
into a predicament where they're forced to stay home, where they're forced to not get the light they need and feed on the junk food.
But
You know
they
what I
had to
mean?
reprogram us.
Come on,
Mm.
you know
There's
what?
a new world
You
All
better
had
order.
talk.
to be reprogrammed.
You better talk.
And they had to get you off the street so they could put it in the 5Gs.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
We can go down. That's another rabbit
Yeah,
hole.
that's,
We go down.
that's
that's
a rabbit
what I-
hole right there.
I wanna touch bases on the food that we eat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I need
Oh.
to say this with the camera rolling. I always tell people that soul food ain't soul food.
No.
soul
That's
food
death
is deadly
food.
food.
Worst
That's
Food.
junk food.
Yeah.
That's the soul food we call soul food, the pig feet, the chitlins. That's the food they gave the slaves. That's the
Yeah.
food that they threw out. They cut the pig feet off, threw it out. Took the guts of the chicken, threw it out. They starved us out so much that we made that food.
Mm-hmm.
hmm Another survival tactic.
That's another survival
yes.
tactic.
Mhm.
And we come from the blood of our ancestors. So we still dealing with that type of trauma We beefing with each other. Why I don't know him? Why I don't know you? And I don't like y'all. Why I instantly don't like y'all?
And better yet, why is there a KFC, a Kennedy's Fried Chicken,
On
and all
every
these
corner.
things on every? And again, all
Only
these
in the
things
ghetto.
affect our health.
The liquor store open more than a
More than
pharmacy.
yeah.
And you go into these other neighborhoods where it's a more middle class or higher, and you do not see these
Yeah.
things.
You know what else you don't see? A lot of beef.
That is true.
A lot of beef. If you notice, most people that eat red meat is very aggressive. Stop eating red meat for a little while and see the difference in your aggression.
Just change up your diet, period. Put some greens in.
Yeah.
You know, I recently lost a friend, and I would hope that more people learn from my lesson because, and here's this, and now this circle's really into mental health.
Let's talk.
I've been going to the doctors for years.
Mhm.
And as I told you before the cameras came on, I had 2 heart surgeries. Now, the reason of those heart surgeries was because I was walking around with blood pressure high as a kite that I didn't understand that was really high blood pressure. I was just going to the doctor. And I said, well, if the doctor sends me home, then I'm okay. So I was going in. I get the numbers are always mixed up, but it was like 210 over 110.
Damn.
That is
He was
instant.
walking
Now,
around
now
dead.
mind you, they'll monitor me, put me up to machines. It's like, are you okay? And as minorities and Black people,
We always
we
okay.
carry a lot, and we can deal with a lot of
Yeah,
pain.
we okay. I'm all right.
We deal with pain differently.
Mhm.
So I would the doctor would see me, then it would go down to like 190 over 97, which is still ridiculous.
Mhm.
And they would just say, okay, he's good, send him home. It wasn't until years later when one doctor, Dr. Sharon Parrish, I got to show you massive love. One of my favorite white people on the planet. She told me, she was like, you're gonna kill yourself. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I just looked at your history of your blood pressure. She said, that is enough to kill you alone.
Wow.
She said, have you had your heart checked? And I ignored her. And then literally, not too long later, my wife, in the middle of the night, I was having a back pain. And I was like, oh my God, what is this pain? And I just tried to shake it off. I thought it was gas.
Mhm.
And long story short, my wife was like, yo, you never complain about pain. Let's go to the doctor. I got to the doctor.
Having a heart attack.
Luckily, not even.
Okay.
The nurse was the head nurse was a Black woman. Did all these tests. And she said, you know what, before you leave, she said, you're so sweet. Let me just run a CT scan and one more thing before you go. Because they was about to send me home. When they gave me that CT scan, she said, oh my God. She said, you're having an aortic dissection.
Oh,
What is that?
That's when the blood pressure is bursting and it's already split. And you're a second away from bursting where you actually have a full-on heart attack and die
Oh, wow.
in your sleep. And she was like, how are you not in pain? And then I remember the white nurses walked in and they was like, look, we don't have time. Like your aortic dissection is so bad that if you go to sleep right now, you're going to die in your sleep. They said there's definitely a strong chance. And we have to do surgery right now. And, it's only a 10% chance that you're going to survive this surgery.
Wow.
So I went from, and I said, wow. And I said, this is, again, part of mental health.
Yeah.
You're asking me to trust these doctors and show up for myself. But when I do, they're not telling me the
They're
right
not telling you what you
information
need to
that can
know.
help me better myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a
Because-
scary thought. You know what I mean? As a Black man, just as a person in general.
Yeah.
But your money is it's not about you, it's about your money.
And the insurance was an excuse because I had the top insurance.
That's why they kept bringing you back and not saying nothing was wrong with you.
Exactly. So and that's part of changing the healthcare system and how they treat us, how they respond to us, and even us as people taking responsibility to actually know what these things the doctors are telling us mean.
Mhm.
Because I have to take responsibility in a way. I have to say, you know what, I should have known what the numbers meant.
Mm-hmm.
I should have been more proactive.
Yes.
And then I wouldn't end up with 2 heart surgeries. I'm like, I want people to learn from my mistake and do better as people so we can just live better and longer lives. We shouldn't be so many times, and I know y'all can all relate. I got friends dropping like flies in their 30s and 40s
Yeah.
from heart issues. And a lot of this is, again, based in the root of mental health because a lot of us are just scared to go to the doctor.
Be scared to go to the doctor. Scared to go to the dentist because the dentist, woo, major
Yeah.
pain.
And they don't tell you how that can affect your whole body.
Just
Yeah.
A bad mouth, you can end up having a heart attack from that.
Yep.
And get poison through your body.
Yep.
There's a time after my heart surgery where now when I go to the dentist, I have to take 4 pills of amoxicillin
Ooh.
before they can even treat me in any dental appointment. So this way, I can have that any infection that's possible killed
Killed,
before they
avoided.
go in.
Mm.
And again, this is things that we don't know as
You
people.
don't know.
But if we heard this more often, and people like me that were in this position spoke up about it more, we would help a lot more people.
And that goes into my next question that I was going to ask you. Begani. How do you tackle this mental health that's going on in our communities? Riding the trains, you see it. Is it the drugs or is it something that happened in the person where they just can't take it anymore?
Well, I did a lot of volunteer work, with supporting like the homeless communities. And I used to think that, they were right in their mind making decisions on being that way, being, what we see on the trains. But it's actually tied to a lot of lack of mental health, that they're either not equipped to function as normal people because of what they're lacking mentally, or two, they've just gone through so much in their lifetime, whether it's drug abuse, any type of abuse, family issues, to where they reached their capacity and they've just broken down and is just not functioning in the way that we would as normal people dealing with stress, right? So I think that, managing mental wellness, a big part of it is having the capacity to do so. Like when the homeless people on the trains wilding out and stuff like that, unfortunately, that's just where they're at. I mean, there's people in place like in politics and stuff like that could, provide like programs and opportunities for them to get help.
Right.
But that's within the system. They have to, set that in place. Everything falls in line with us working together. The people, the public, the systems, schools, shelters, any entities that touch humans, we all need to work together.
So I got a question. Where would you start at?
Because
the school prepare you for the prisons, and prison prepare you for
the grave.
Well,
or back to the streets to come back to prison.
Yeah.
So where will we really start? Because we all know the school was the
Pipeline.
Prison pipeline.
Get deep into that, man. What you mean by that for the people that don't know?
All right. Wait, how deep? Because that's
too
another rabbit hole.
Because people gonna say, wait, so my child going to school to go to prison?
All right, yeah, your child going to school to go to prison because they're not teaching you nothing. Everything that I think we all around the same age range. So when we went to school, we learned carpentry. We learned how to cook. We learned how to clean. We learned things that help us make something of ourselves in life. And you had a couple of successful people, then crack hit, and then everything slowly came out of the school. We didn't have no more after-school programs. We didn't have no more after-school jobs. We didn't have no more co-op programs.
Lunch programs.
We didn't have no more tutoring. And only thing that was left now, a lot of people was mad at the parents, but now that we older and we sit back and think, what could our parents really do? Because they had to work to take care of us. So they just prepped us. They took everything away, and the only thing left for us to do was to get in trouble. We couldn't get no jobs, so everybody started hustling. The only hustle you had was drugs. That was the only thing to get in our community. So you come from school, your parents not home, there's nobody to guide you, so what do? Go outside, the older kids is going, yo, here, hold this for me. Because y'all not going to jail for long. So hold this for me. And that was just the motto. And
that plays on your mental health. I got a story,
very
right?
much.
My 10-year-old son got suspended from school for 1 day. They said it's supposed to have been 3 days, but they suspended for 1 day. Now, this all going to segue into him growing up with maybe a mental health issue because of what happened, right? I asked, what are y'all suspending my son for? They said, because he told the girl he should kiss her. It was on Valentine's Day. Y'all teach the kids about love and
Cupid and all that.
and Cupid and stuff like that. And my son is a straight A kid. He never gets in trouble. He's always he go to school every day. He passed all his tests. This was this one little mistake, and he suspended my son. They said it was going to be 3 days, but it just was 1 day for telling the girl he should kiss her.
So,
And this
quick
is
question.
damaging.
And I
And they
told
don't
my son,
realize that.
I told my son, it's all right to like girls because that could mess with him to the point where he say, well, I tried to kiss a girl and I got in trouble, so maybe.
But that's what they want. That's what
Kissing
they
the boy.
want. That's the reprogramming. That's another part of the reprogramming. It's another part of reprogramming. Why is it wrong to tell a little girl or for a little girl to tell a little boy, I like you?
At that age.
That's what we supposed to do. We all did that.
Mhm.
We all
Well,
did that.
I
We used
think-
to write. We used to write notes.
Notes.
Check if you like me or not.
Yeah.
Yes or no. But now they would prefer.
I think wait, so I see
Shoot first.
where he's going, but as a woman,
Mhm.
right? And my mom's she dedicated all her life to the childhood education system.
Okay.
So I see where he's going with that, but I think they were trying to create like a decorum to where like don't be too forward.
Yeah.
That's all it was. I don't think it was like anything too crazy. But I get what you were saying in sense of like the suspension and stuff like that. They could have sat him down with you present
Mhm.
and could have been like, yo, these are the consequences if you're too forward.
Mhm.
It could have been handled a little differently.
Yeah. And they, as you said, and I couldn't agree with you more, they don't take these and make them teachable moments.
Yeah,
where
they
the
got to
ki-
make it
where the
teachable
kids
moments.
can grow from.
They
You
make
know
it
what I mean?
punishable.
Because and again, I get where you're going with it, but my only thing with that is when we label it that way,
Mm.
it now labels it as if people can't be who they are.
Oh.
Mhm.
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 You know what I mean? And we have to realize that. And I'm gonna go a little deeper
Go
on
ahead,
this.
because I want to say something.
But
but
we
go
all
ahead,
we
bro.
all grew up and we all knew kids that were in our classes that were different than us.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, I knew who I was, and I knew that kid over there had a different. I'm going to use the word, and I mean no harm by this. I'm being honest. Had a different twinkle about him,
Right.
and you'd be like, okay, now that is not forced because this kid is who he is,
Mhm.
and then that person grows up to be what they're going to be.
Right.
We have to encourage people to do that, but there's a way that the teachers should be coming to the parents first.
Yes.
Like that should be the first
Yes.
round.
Yep.
Sit down with the parent because you don't know what's going on at home with
You
these
don't
kids.
know what's
Right.
going on.
You know, and I'm speaking from experience because I grew up with a lot of stigmas on my back where people would see me and I had a very feminine quality to me that I still have to this day. And automatically I was thrown into this category, oh, look at this little gay dude here or just whatever. And really what it was is I was at home and I was raised by mostly women. My grandfather was one of the men in my life, but he was at work and trying to support the family. And I hung out with my aunts, my grandmother. So that's what I knew.
Mm.
And it didn't. Now, what it did though is when it was time for me to date, I was able to finesse better than the
Mhm.
average
Mhm.
dude. Like, you know what I mean?
You knew
Again,
all the tricks.
I knew
Yep.
all the tricks of the trade. I knew what they didn't like, what they didn't want. But again, even if I did turn out to go the other way and be gay or whatever that was or whatever the stigma is, it wouldn't have been a bad thing, because you just have to, again, going back to the situation, talk to the parents, find out what's going
Yeah.
on at home, and give the parent an opportunity to teach that kid
Yeah.
Okay.
because then you're also creating a wedge between the child and the parent.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right.
And
Yes,
that's a lot of times what we don't realize. We're separating the family because we're giving them a set of rules at school,
Mhm.
and then the parents is giving them another set of rules at home. So now the kid is confused.
They trying to figure out who to.
I don't know
who
what to
listen
do. I don't know who.
Yeah.
Come on.
Talking about being confused and talking about things that be happening in the homes that we don't know about. A lot of Okay, there's so much I want to tackle. I'm gonna take it one at a time.
This is
right?
part one. We're gonna have to come back with part two.
No, I'm getting this out now, right?
Uh-huh.
A lot of kids that grew up that got molested, right?
Mhm.
This is no disrespect to anybody who got molested. They grow up and they might turn to the other side where they might not know that is wrong or is right. They might grow up and molest someone else because it's a
behavior.
mental health issue.
And I got something to say on that right now. If, and it's
Would
gonna
you
be
like to
real
speak
brief.
about it? Yeah.
Because I was, molested as a kid. And I think that and right now I'm 44 years old.
Damn.
And it played a major role in me not wanting kids for a long time. And it's not because I thought I was going to do something to a child. It's because I understood the level of responsibility you needed to be as an adult to put a child's life in your hands. And I mean, I'm talking about I was passed around by family, male and female. Like a cigarette.
Damn.
And it was one of those things where I was like, yo, is it me? Is it something that I'm doing, or is it a sickness that they have? And
they passed it on.
But exactly, and it's not even that because you can't really pass that, but it puts you into that PTSD mode where everything becomes a trauma and you don't know what, and then you become sexually hyper. Because I went from being abused to being this kind of flirtatious, nasty. Everything had to have a sexual, a sexual tone to it. And I kind of still have that to this day where most people don't know unless you're like a real close personal friend.
Yeah.
But I know where that comes from. And these are things that, as a child who's a survivor of that kind of abuse, you have to tap into that yourself and understand and admit to yourself that you do need the help and need to talk to somebody to get out of that position, out of that mindset. And my wife, we talk about it all the time. I was like, babe, I just didn't want to have kids because not only was it sexual abuse, but it was physical abuse. It was being put into the tub. And, I was getting 90s and all A's in my classes. And then I would come home and it was like, you broke this dish. And he'd like get in the tub and he would beat me till I bled and then put salt in the water.
Oh, that's wild.
So, and then so it's like, what kind of mindset did he have? And I think back, I'm like, people say, why are you not mad at your grandfather? I said, it's not that I'm not mad. But I said, I think deeper than that. What the hell did my grandfather go through for him to inflict that on me?
Right.
And it's my job to now try to break that
Break
cycle.
that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Is breaking the cycle mental awareness? Because
Yes.
a lot of us come from families that don't break the cycle.
Talk about it. Yeah.
But most people won't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Most people won't acknowledge it happened. It's just like, it's a myth. It's a myth.
Especially men.
Especially men. Because, like, it took me a long time. It actually took for my father to move away for me to tell my mother that his wife used to molest me.
Wow.
And it was because I loved my father that much that I didn't want to...
Shit.
I didn't want to not be around, not, be able to see him. And I knew it was wrong, but I dealt with it because she would buy me toys, sneakers, anything I wanted.
Bribery. Mm-hmm.
And one day I just was tired of it, and I just went and locked myself in the bathroom. And my father came and he sat and he talked to me. And he said, pardon me. He says, what's wrong? You don't like it?
Whoa.
Oh.
And I looked at him
You see?
like he was crazy because I'm like, yo, I'm 5 years old. I'm 5 years old. So for all this time, I'm thinking he didn't know what she was doing to me. He was encouraging it. And then he said to me, I'm teaching you how to be a man. She's teaching you what you're supposed to know.
How do that impact you right now with you having a child? And
Thank you for sharing that,
yeah,
brother.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I
that's
appreciate
deep.
that.
Because this is
man.
the first time I even shared my story. So I said, I commend you for stepping into that, brother. Seriously.
right now, being a father,
I'm getting the goosebumps.
it make me angry because I'm scared for my daughter to be around anybody.
Mm.
Because, like, if your father can allow that to happen, is that love? Or is that it took a few years, just a few years ago, for me to really deal with it and say that wasn't something he did because he just did it.
Yeah.
That was something that was passed along from generation to generation
Yeah,
to
man.
generation. And I think he knew it was wrong, but I don't think he knew better.
Yeah.
And like, even when I got a chance to be around him again,
Mhm.
I was just angry because I'm like, oh, you let her do this to me. Like, the older I got, I always knew it was wrong, but the older I got, I was just like, you ain't shit.
Yeah.
Because you let this lady do this to me for all these years, and then you told me she was teaching me how to be a man. I'm 5 years old.
Mhm.
So you took something away from me that I could never get back. I could never get back. So as a father, it just makes me more protective.
Mhm.
It makes me I don't even, to be honest, I wouldn't even trust like my daughter's uncles and stuff like that to have a sleepover. I don't trust none of that because
What happened to
of
you?
what happened to me. And I know that's something that I got to get over, but I can't.
And see, and most times, family members who see that reaction, which is associated with, why is he so angry? What's wrong with him?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he being a douchebag? And it's like, no, you don't know the pain that is behind the decision that people are making.
Mm-hmm.
And in relation to you, brother, because I recently had a breakthrough with somebody that I'm seeing to sit down and talk with about my problems. And it was a similar situation where my aunt was doing that to me and her husband. And then at the funeral, I remember telling my mom, and I was like, Mom, I finally had the courage to say to you that, Auntie was, making us take the toy trucks, and she would tell us to go under her dress and just run remember the ones you could roll back
Mhm,
and the
And they
wheels
go.
would just
mhm.
roll. So she would tell me to roll it back and then roll it on her vagina, on her pussy.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
So
my
and
goodness.
you don't know as a kid what you're doing. It was
What
me
you
and
do-
my
yeah.
brother, and
Damn.
and we
That's
would do
so
that, and it's like,
intense.
what the hell? But these things, and when I told my family, then I became the devil.
The bad guy.
I became the
Because
bad. My mom was the only one that believed me. My
Mhm.
aunts, they all took me in a room. They took turns beating me with belts.
Mm.
One beat me so bad that she literally beat the piece of skin off the tip of my dick.
Damn. Church.
So I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm trying to tell them. After that happened, my mom sat me down, and my mom was just like very heavy into drugs. And she was like, I believe you, son. She said, I can't help you, but I believe you. And just for me, even though that was just a little glimpse of somebody looking at
it felt good.
it felt good that somebody
Somebody believed you.
heard me.
because it's not that they knew what was going on.
Because it was happening to her.
They knew. The thing is, you made it public.
Yeah.
So that was the problem.
And they had
so
to
now
face
that
it.
you made it the problem, they have to face it.
So Bagani,
Whew.
how do you say, for instance, these are two young men.
Mhm.
They come to you with their problem and they tell you, don't tell my mother, don't tell my father. How would you address that situation to them?
For me, that's a little too deep. So if they're kids, I would have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
You can't I don't live in the darkness.
Right.
Mm.
How do that affect? How is that
can't live in
affecting
the
your
darkness.
mental health right now? How is that affecting you? You don't trust nobody.
I
You
don't. I got a lot of trust issues.
Mhm.
Like, to be honest, I trust people until they show me they can't be trusted. But I don't put nothing past nobody.
That's where I am.
And if some, like, being that I've been through it, I could look at somebody and be like, oh, something's going on that you not letting out.
Got the
And you
vision.
should go talk to somebody
That
about
is a
it.
fact.
Because it's a different type of anger. And like, if you don't let it out, if you don't talk about it at some point, you're going to explode.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're going to explode.
I had a friend, and I'm not gonna go too deep into names and stuff,
Okay.
but I saw her daughter, and I would just notice that things were off, and she was too friendly, and she was always running up, and I pulled the mother to the side, and I said, "Hey," I was like, "I think you need to have a conversation with your daughter." She was like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, speaking from experience, the actions and the way she's acting are mature beyond her age.
Mm.
And I said, somebody close to you is doing something to us. I don't know who it is,
Wow.
but I said, and this was a private conversation. I said, but please, I said, from somebody who knows, please, even if I'm wrong, tap in and just find out. She then in turn tried to damage me and my wife's relationship and went and told her some crazy things about me,
Hmm.
which didn't work because
didn't
my
work.
wife knows better.
Mhm.
But fast forward 4 years later, it came out that her husband was the one
Doing something to the
molesting the
daughter.
daughter. And again, I didn't do the I told you so, none of that, because that's a learning experience. And then she had 2 more daughters with this guy.
Ooh, a slap in the face to the daughter
Dang.
Yes.
that was happening.
You
to.
know what I mean?
Because she got to relive that every time they come to visit. He come to visit her.
Exactly. And it was so painful, man. What was even more painful that she didn't realize, and we're cool to this day because we got past that. But it was painful for me to be right. You don't want to be right in those situations.
Right.
But your intuition as a kid who faced that kind of trauma,
You know.
you know.
can see the
You can
signs.
see it like right on like the back of your hand, man. So wow, man. Y'all went deep today.
I swear, I never thought that this was going to happen like this.
And this is the first time I talked about this publicly.
Yeah, this is the
Wow.
first time I
never.
ever.
Thank you.
I've never.
I'm sorry
I've
that
never-
y'all had to experience that.
But it's good because most people don't get to see grown men have these type of
Mm.
conversations.
It's the truth, bro.
Because we always taught to be strong, hold everything in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you gotta be solid. You can't
Yeah,
do
bro.
this. You
Don't
can't
let them
do
see
that.
you cry.
Don't let them see you cry.
Exactly.
I teach
and-
my son he could cry.
No, crying
Cry,
is
man. You
crying
letting it
is
out.
cleansing the soul.
Yeah.
Come on now.
You have to cry.
Yeah.
That's not, I don't care. And people view me as one of the meanest, toughest people, and I'll be like, bro, I cry.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody might see me cry,
Yeah.
but I cry because the things I've been through, I can't sit down and put my pain on nobody else's shoulders
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I always ask people, we go see the therapist and all that, but who does the therapist go to see after they finish? Because that's a lot to unload on somebody.
Mhm.
And then you going through however many sessions a day, and that's a lot. So now your mental is bothered because you got all these different energies in your circle, and you just like, damn, how can I
And that-
wash
and
away
that-
this pain for the
Mhm.
next day because I still got to do the service.
And that goes
Mhm.
for the people sitting in this room right now,
Right.
because we are therapists in our own right.
Mhm.
What you are doing with the Love Bomb Room,
Mm.
that is therapy. Like, there's so many times where I've been to the Love Bomb Room and I had to go into another corner and just cry and get because you can feel the pain in the room,
Mhm.
but you can feel the healing at the same time.
What is the Love Bomb Room? If you don't mind explaining what that is.
Yeah, so the Love Bomb Room is a community that I accidentally discovered on Clubhouse. Like I was talking about on Culture Weekend, when somebody put me on a Clubhouse, I didn't want to get on it because I'm a hyper networker naturally.
Mhm.
But they just kept telling me, get on, you'll meet investors. I'm like, I meet investors anywhere.
Mhm.
So I got on there. I still wasn't interested in it. And, I was telling you guys earlier, I had gotten injured during the pandemic. I lost 2 opportunities because of the lockdown, like job opportunities. Like a relationship wasn't going well. I was just angry. So I got on Clubhouse to roast people and just cause havoc
Right.
and have fun. You know, like I'm from Brooklyn. I just
Right.
wanted to just crack jokes and really cause havoc, really. And that's how I got my anger out. And so I was like, one day I was like, yo, let me compliment people, but let me roast people, but with compliments.
Mm.
I remember when you came with that.
Dope.
I was like, what?
Yo, that day
Catch these
changed
compliments.
my life.
Yeah.
That day changed my whole life because
Roast people with compliments.
roast people with compliments.
That is so
That's dope.
brilliant.
That's different.
You don't understand that boosts people's egos so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And you already know, like, our culture, the way we compliment people is
Like,
already
yo, look at you with
creative.
those fire Yeezys on. You matching from head to toe. Word.
And you know, everyone was going through. I didn't realize the power of that room until now. During the whole process, maybe like 6 months in, I was reading the messages from the people like, yo, my father passed away and this room got me through. Or like, you know, the story that I told on stage, the lady was like, you know, when I first entered the Love Bomb room that morning, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And you guys lifted up my spirit so much to the point that I changed the way that I approach my illness and my treatment.
Mm.
And now she's cancer-free till this day.
Thank
So
God for
the
that.
words have power. Our words have
Words.
power.
Mhm.
You know, like everyone
Mm.
in this room, we grew up a certain way. We grew up in, I don't know, mess or whatever. But then when you start seeing a light bit by bit, you know, you get addicted to it. Like I got addicted to it. I was like, you know what? We're light bearers. You're a light bearer. He's a light bearer. He's a light bearer. I'm a light bearer. And I think this life, and I hate to explain it like this, but this is how I see the world. This is how I see life. Life is a game, right? And it's supposed to be played lightheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, play like
Lightheartedly.
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 Okay.
Like you went through pain, he went through pain, I went through pain,
I
you
went
went
through
through pain, right? But once we acknowledge that, like I said, the whole thing, I don't live in darkness. We got to live in the truth. And sometimes speaking out loud, what has happened to you in the past or the pain that has happened to you is healing within itself. Because when you hold that in, that translates and communicates in different kinds of ways. Like people just snapping at you for no reason.
Mhm.
You go to work and you're like, why is this person so angry at me? And then when you actually sit down and have a conversation with them, they'll sit there and be like, yo, I have a daughter who has terminal
Yeah.
XYZ cancer
Right.
illness or whatever. So it's about understanding that it's bigger than you and that we're put on this earth to serve as a reminders for one another. You know, like his story, when it get put out there, you don't understand the amount of people that they're gonna reach and inspire
Yeah.
to you know, break down the barriers, break down those walls of like oppression, because that's a part of oppression too.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, ma'am.
you know,
Yeah.
like so with the Love Bomb room, it changed my life, and it's like a part of like my lifestyle now. And you know, we do like for instance last year, and this is when my relationship with God got stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was able to see 5 cities, one of which is London,
Wow.
like on like through the community without really any funding, like some sponsors here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But it really showed me that if you put your mind to something, and if you have the vision and you surround yourself with the right people, you surround yourself with people who believe in you and the same vision, anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
And I never told you this, but I want to tell you this now. The Love Bomb room saved me in many ways.
I appreciate that.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And you know how deep our relationship
Yeah.
go. But it was because of the Love Bomb room and that experience and having stories that I shared with people in private, because, you know, a lot of people gravitated towards me and had private conversations and conversations like this. And because of that is how I found my purpose of what I realized what I was really supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And I realized that I had a bigger responsibility with the story than just holding it and sharing in these little pockets. This is something I needed to speak publicly about because I had the power to. I don't fear it. I don't fear the topic. I don't fear what people may think of me. And because I'm in that position, it was my duty to tell this story to, like you said, empower
Yeah,
and
to
kind of
empower.
and release people from their shackles.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
because a lot of us are shackled to our past.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Oh, it just says something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Shackled to our past.
past.
Yeah.
And it's time to just let
it
ourselves
go.
free. Let it go.
See, talking about love, right? I never experienced the trauma that y'all two guys had, but my experience, my trauma was I grew up with no father.
Mm.
You know,
I
my
feel
mom's, she didn't have a lot of guys around us, you know, but I didn't get the love from a male that I was
Mm.
looking for. I was looking for that. All my friends in school had fathers. I ain't have no father. You know, so the relationship with me and my son is unbreakable.
I
Because
love
because
that.
you're trying to fix what you didn't have.
That
That
empty
part.
space, I give him.
I love
I
that.
never was taught how to love. Nobody never taught me how to love a woman.
Mm.
Learn on the
That's
Cursed
job.
them out, fought them.
Learn on the
You
job.
talking?
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk
I
about
never
it.
Let's
knew.
talk
I
about
never
it.
knew how to love.
Yeah.
I never knew how to love.
Mm.
But now, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I can't say I got it 100% right
Nobody does.
because I'm still dealing with trauma,
Mm.
cheating trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fighting.
Mm.
I don't want. I just want to be. I want to be a complete person.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
feel
and
you.
you know, when I speak to y'all, it opens me up.
Yeah.
I feel
that.
good.
Yeah, man.
You know, and I know dealing with y'all help me go to where I need to go.
Mm.
You know, not to be famous. I'm just saying go where I need to go spiritually.
Yeah.
Because the stories that y'all just opened me up to, I feel like how damn me not explain what I'm going through. And I've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
And
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I just
brother.
appreciate y'all for you know, expressing yourselves on this platform.
Yeah.
And you know, that means a lot
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
to say that.
Yeah.
Nah, I appreciate you having this topic
Yeah,
because
this platform, yeah.
especially like for us being where we from, people don't expect us to have this type of conversation.
Mhm.
Like in the hood, we soft for having this type of conversation. You get what I'm saying?
I was
This-
soft for having a
it's-
job. I can't even
Yeah,
have a
oh,
job.
oh, yeah,
Yo, you got a
but
job,
listen.
you washed up.
But see, the thing is, we know better.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, even though we don't got all the answers, we figuring it out.
Yeah.
We know what we grew up doing ain't the way to go.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So this was good and this was risk taking
needed.
because
Mhm.
most people are scared to talk about mental awareness,
Their
mental health.
traumas.
Yeah.
And like at any given moment when you sit down and have a conversation, you even if you don't say it out loud, you say to yourself, yo, I'm fucked up behind a lot of shit that happened to me.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But you have to
let it out.
let it out because if you don't, you just gonna be a big ass ball of rage. And,
Yeah.
and that's just gonna continue
That's a
because
fact.
that's all you're gonna be able to teach until
Mhm.
somebody break that cycle.
Let me tell you how this, excuse me,
No, go
Church. I just
ahead.
want to say how this interview started, how it began. After seeing her speak
Mhm.
on Culture Weekend, I was so motivated from that panel. Even the panel you was on with Bimmy and everybody,
Wow.
I was so motivated from the panels. When I went home, I got Big Hannah,
Vegani.
Begani. I got Begani, IG. I'm in my house. I'm writing stuff, deleting it. Writing it, deleting it. Because I didn't know how to approach you.
Yeah.
Mm.
So as I'm writing, I get as soon as I'm about to send,
Yo.
she sent it. And then I sent mine. It's like bling, bling. I was like, oh,
It's a true
I could
story.
not
Wow.
believe it.
It's a true story. Yeah.
I was like, yo,
that was meant to
I
happen.
just
Yeah.
was about to DM you.
Yo, you know what's crazy? So going back to that, right? And he'll tell you. So once you tap into like a specific frequency,
Come on.
and I believe we're all able to access that frequency when we move with light and when we move with courage. Like what y'all did today was courageous, and I thank you guys.
I thank
like,
you guys for real.
real,
Appreciate
for
you,
real.
bro,
I thank you guys.
Because guess what? You sharing that and somebody listening to that story,
somebody
you're gonna
else been
save
through it.
somebody's
Change
life.
somebody's
Yeah,
life.
somebody
Yeah.
been through
You're
it.
gonna save somebody's life.
And most of the times when people tell a story, it's always about the men messing with the little girls.
Mhm.
And it's never about the women that's been out here molesting these kids
Yeah,
for a long
man.
time. And it's a double-edged sword because they be like, oh, why you acting like a punk? You should have liked it. Because she was showing you something. No, wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is, or what they didn't understand then, what she did to me back then affected how I deal with women today.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But I'm trying to figure out how to deal with that because I don't never want my daughter to see any of that.
Yeah.
So
But you are
just
dealing with
getting it off my chest is helping me because now I know that not only does it happen, I know it happened,
Mhm.
but people don't expect. People look at me and be like, "Nah, couldn't have nobody did that to you." Yeah, I wasn't always this. I used to be a toothpick,
Mhm.
and I didn't know no better. I was a kid. I didn't know no better. So you buy me toys, and I'm gonna do like.
There's a sense of bribery.
Yeah.
Right.
If I
To be silent.
if I was graphic and what some of the things that she did to me, people would be like, "Bro, you the man, you did."
Yeah,
No,
that's not it.
that's not it.
Mhm.
That's not it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I hope at the end of the day that somebody else could be strong enough to say, "Yo, this happened to me,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I got over it.
Yeah.
Like it's. You can get over it as long as you speak about it, but if you keep holding it in,
yeah.
you might get to a point where you get that angry and you don't know no better that you just be like, this is what I was supposed to do because this is what was done to me. And I think that was the mentality
Yeah.
of our forefathers and ancestors.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? Because from slavery on down, we've been fucked up mentally.
Yeah.
We've been fucked up. And everything that's been happening has been from this generation doing it to this generation
Passed
to
down
this.
traumas.
And we are actually the first generation that's trying to break this cycle.
Mhm.
So
And a lot of us don't even realize. A lot of times we sit in circles with a bunch of thugs in one room and don't even realize they're trauma bonding without even
Yeah.
knowing what
Yeah,
they've
trauma
been
bond-
through.
and a lot of
Trauma
them,
We gotta speak
a
about
lot
trauma
of them are
bonding.
angry,
Oh my God, yeah. This is gonna be a 5 hour.
and a lot of them are angry because these things happen to them.
Exactly, and
they
they're in the
don't
same
know,
room.
and they never talked about
And
it.
don't even know that you sitting next to the brother who could probably help you heal.
Yeah.
Or y'all can help each other just by having a conversation about it and understanding that this is something that you've been through and y'all can get through it together. You know what I mean? Instead of just fucking rolling up the blunt and playing the video games or shooting down, whatever the fuck they want to do,
Yeah.
talk.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know each other on a different level. You know what I mean? And because people always ask me, Lucky, you've been through so much shit. How the fuck are you so happy? I said, because happiness is a choice for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I chose it. You know what I mean? It's not an easy choice. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm getting up every day and throwing rainbows and flowers, but I'm getting up and I'm subconsciously making decisions to make myself better and make every choice that I'm making moving forward better so that I can get my healing so then I can be better for everything and every opportunity that I'm putting myself in front of.
Right.
Lucky, real quick, is trauma bonding good or bad? Because I seen a story where they was like a male and a female could trauma bond through their hurts. They don't really love each other,
Mm-hmm.
but they're connected through their traumas. He might have not had a father, she might have not had a father,
I heard that.
and they think that they love each other
because they
because both
they
because
like missing
they
pieces.
The
They-
commonality.
yeah,
Yeah.
of the pain,
Yeah, the commonality.
but they really not for each other.
And it could be yes and no. And it could be yes. It's up to the couple and the people because you have to be willing to heal.
yeah.
You have to be willing to say this is an issue. You have to grow together and say, because I have friends that are like that.
Right.
we realized that the only reason we were friends because we went through the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and every time we got together, it was the same conversation, but there was no growth.
Was no growth.
And I said, you know what, bro, are we going to continue to talk about this? Are we going to look at some books? Are we going to watch some documentaries? Are we going to talk to other people and figure out how we can get past this? How can this conversation get outside of this room? Because being here in this room is making us worse. You know, even though I have an uncle that went through the same trauma with my family. And till this day, he's stuck in a loop that he can't get out of. And every time I see him, it's like, oh, remember when Grandpa did this? Yes, I remember. But I remember who I am now. I remember what that taught me. And I remember my responsibility of how I have to pay it forward by using that energy to turn it into flowers, turn it into fertilizer.
Fertilizer.
You know what I mean?
Deep.
Wow.
That's
I'm
deep.
not in the concrete.
Wow.
Lil Bama.
Fertilizer. You know, y'all schooling me.
We schooling each other, yeah.
We schooling each other, yeah.
Wow.
But see, that's the
You
thing.
said
These
turn it into
conversations.
fertilizer.
Mhm.
Wow.
And watch what grows from it. But you have to be like that saying says, I don't know the exact saying, but you have to be willing to plant that seed and know that you may not be able to send the tree
Mhm.
and the shade
Mhm.
that grows from
Right.
it, but knowing that you did your part.
Yeah.
Lit that spark.
Because your part
Yeah.
in that spark is gonna change and it's gonna become a domino effect. And this is us. We're planting our seed right here. And I think we will see some of the because we still got a lot of life in us to live.
That's right. Speaking
But
to
we
it.
just need more people to do that and step up to the plate.
Yeah. And a lot of people are just a lot of people are just scared to speak their truth
Yeah.
Mhm.
because they don't want to get judged
Yeah.
or they don't want to be looked down upon, but everybody going through something.
And most of the time, the biggest person that's judging you is you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you see, and I realize that speaking for myself,
Mhm.
I'm so because you never met somebody or they somebody's in the same room and you imagine this whole conversation you think they having about you and they're not even thinking about you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? When the real issue is like the person in the mirror and it's like you got to get your mind right,
Yep.
get you right, then you can approach everything and then actually you even see everything around you in a whole new light.
That's a fact. Where can they find you at? Because it's going to be a part 2. 3, 4.
It has to be.
Where can they
They
find
can
you
find me on
at?
Instagram. Siberia 1019. I am Brooklyn Apparel. Well, Siberia 1019 if you want the antics. If you want to deal with business, I am Brooklyn Apparel. Facebook, you can find me. I am Brooklyn Apparel. Or just Google me. Siberia 1019.
That's what's up. Me, you can find me anywhere. I have one of the most unique names in the world, Lucky Church. You can find me anywhere, any social media site, Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere, Lucky Church. It's not hard to find me, and I answer all my DMs, and I will respond as soon as I can.
He ain't lying.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'll answer.
So Instagram Bigani BIGHANI_, and the Love Bomb Room on Instagram, and the website is catchthesecompliments.com.
You heard him. Brooklyn, we out.
Finger
Peace.
tambourine.
Let's go.